All right, welcome back. All right, today is our last class before the midterm. My goal for today is to give you a brief overview about the midterm and then walk through as many of these examples as we can. We did about 13 in the other class we've done today. Any questions before we get started? Yes? Already yes. I think there's a condolence card for a student's father if he wants to sign it. Someone has it. Whoever has it, just okay. So we have a good Samaritan here who has the card. If you want to send it, please do. The midterm is basically half of the final exam, which sounds obvious, but it's true. The final exam is 3 hours. The midterm's 90 minutes. The final exam has 2 questions. The midterm has 1 question. It's half of the final exam. It will be in class. You'll do it right here. I will email you the file about half an hour in advance. I am not using ExamSoft. It creates more hassles than it's worth. So just type it in Word. That's fine. Real easy. When you're done, email me the file. Make the file name your last name. So if your last name is Clark, your first name is Clark. But anyway, whatever your last name is, sorry, that's Clark could be a last name, right? Whatever your last name is, make that your last name, Blackman, whatever, and then send it to me. The very next class, the midterm's on Tuesday. The very next class is Thursday. I will go over the midterm. I will give you one of my old midterms. The advantage there is you have an A+ answer to model on, and you have a memo that I wrote, which you use to grade yourself very quickly. The A+ answer is not perfect. They never are. No one's ever gotten 100 in my exams. Never happened. Will never happen. I'm maybe surprised. I've gotten maybe 197, 98. That's the closest I've gotten. No one's gotten all the points. So if you got something different than the A+ answer, don't think you're wrong. Maybe you got to write. The memo is actually more useful. If you go to the syllabus, I link to a lot of my old midterms going back at least 5 or 6 years. It will be one of those. I don't know which one yet. I haven't decided. It will be one of those old midterms. I just pulled one up at random. I think this is from 2000 and 2018. The instructions are there. They're the same every year. It's an open book exam, but it has to be paper. No notes on your tablet, no notes on your laptop, paper. That's to avoid cheating. I have no way around it. Once you start looking at your devices, I don't know if you're chatting, it's too risky. So paper, sorry. Kill the trees, but that's what we have. There's a strict word limit, 1,000 words. Anything you write over 1,000 words, I won't read. I'll stop 1,000. I do counts. Very easy. Why is there a word limit? It's to level the playing field. Some of you can dump in 5,000 words in a 3-hour exam. I know who you are. And some of you can't. Some of you throw everything you know on the page, hoping something sticks. Throw a pot of spaghetti in the wall, hoping it sticks. That won't work in my class. You need to choose the right answer and not tell me everything, hoping you can fish for points. So answer the question directly. Focus on your analysis. Answer the question I'm looking for. If you merely just copy stuff from your notes, rule statement, etc., you don't get full credit, right? I want to see if you're actually answering my question. If you're giving me stuff that was covered before a class, you're not answering my question. If you notice I'm saying answer the question, the number one reason people get bad scores is they don't answer the question. So answer the question. Okay? Understood? Okay. Each exam, again, 1,000-word limit, there'll be 5 parts. So you have a fact pattern, part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, part 5. Each part should be roughly 200 words. 200 words times 5 is 1,000. That's your guide. You should probably try to spend 20, maybe 30 minutes reading the exam. It's real short. Look at it. It's a page and a quarter. It might take you 20 minutes to read. It's going to be a very involved fact pattern with lots of moving parts. In this case, a lot of moving parts. There's a snitch flying around, right? There are a lot of moving parts. Read it very carefully. This shouldn't have to be said, but I'll say it. Read the instructions carefully. People skip those, which is a mistake. The instructions will tell you what kind of jurisdiction you're in. Right? The instructions will tell you, are you in a common law jurisdiction or a modern law jurisdiction? Those are not the same thing. There's some differences between those two types of jurisdictions. Do we have a lot of absences today? My goodness. No, but I'm just seeing a lot of empty seats also. So what's going on today? I should turn the recording off. I see 8 people on YouTube also. Hi, guys. Something more important, obviously. Yeah, I don't get this. In all false, I missed one class, I think, maybe 2. You're paying a lot of money to be here. I know they just raise the tuition, and people don't come to class. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Someone just signed up for YouTube. Okay, that's fine. Look, it's your loss. It's your loss. It's not the same if you're at home. I learned that last year, didn't we? It's not the same if you're home. Please read the instructions. The instructions will tell you what kind of jurisdiction you're in, what kind of law we should apply, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Usually on the midterm, I have at least 2 or maybe 3 future interest questions. If you notice, it's going to be very heavy. That's basically been half our semester so far. If today's material is not clicking, the midterm will present you with difficulty. The questions I'm giving you today can be answered in a few moments. These questions might take 15 minutes to work your way through. I always have what I call a policy question, which students don't like, but it's always there. The policy question asks you to think about something more deep. Why is the law the way it is? Not just the what, but the why. How do I grade? Very easy. There are 5 questions. Each is graded on a scale of 1 to 10. So perfect score is 50. 50 is a perfect score. Makes it really easy to grade. I think I once had a 97 or 96. That's about as high as they go. But the average is usually around a 70, 71, 72. No matter what I do, it averages out. I'm not even trying to curve it. You guys curve naturally. People say, oh, I hate the curve. You curve naturally. There's nothing for me to do. You all fall along a pretty normal distribution. You're a normal class, as we would say. What's the difference between a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 7, or 8, or 9, or 10? If you're able to simply give me what the rule is, or give me something close to the rule, that's probably good enough for 5 or 6 points. If you leave it blank, obviously you get 0. If you're able to apply the rule to the case at hand, you might get 7 or 8 points. But if you're able to give me a really clear explanation of why the rule yields a certain answer, and maybe work on some of the policy implications where relevant, that's maybe a 9 or a 10. I don't give many 10s in the midterm, maybe some 9s. You guys maybe get some 9. So really shoot for 7s and 8s. If you get a 40, you're in the range for an A, right? You don't have to get a 50. 7s and 8s are goods. If you're getting 5s and 6s, you're in the 65 to 70 range. That's not so good. 30, 35 points is in trouble. Questions on the structure of the exam. This weekend, take one of the old ones. Just pick one, give yourself 90 minutes and try it. You don't want to walk in here cold because you'll be shocked. The biggest reason why 1Ls don't finish is they don't understand how long it takes. And you end up saying 45 minutes on one question. It's like, oh my God, I don't have time for the rest. And you panic and you run out of time. The only way to prepare for that is to actually take a sample exam. And I give you more exams than you'll ever see in your life. You have every exam there. At this point, it doesn't matter how much time you can commit to it. Again, so I'll give the exam on Tuesday. Thursday, we'll go over it. You can self-grade. Now, how do we do review sessions? I'm open to ideas, but I'll tell you none work well. Let me explain why. I have 170 students. If I meet with each of you for 30 minutes, that's almost 90 hours. It's not feasible, right? Every waking hour I would never finish. What I used to do when the sections were smaller was I would come here on Saturday and say from 8 till 8 p.m. From 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. I would just stay here all day. And it's exhausting. And it's not very productive either. Because what ends up happening is people sign for slots, they don't come. Consistently, people sign for slots, they don't show up, which is very annoying. So I've done it with sign-up slots. I can't do that again because people just don't come for their slots. They don't show up. And what do? I can't chase them down. Last year, I did just with a long queue where I basically start a queue in the morning, you hop on, and whenever it's your turn, you appear. That wasted less time, but also it wastes some of your time because you're on basically your phone all day, just waiting for you to say, hello, where are you? I had one guy, I couldn't believe it. He was actually driving cross country to California, and he was on the queue for that. And he was actually trying to do a session while he was driving. He pulled over to a gas station, having his computer. It was a disaster, right? But don't do that, please. It wasn't safe. I had to hang up on him because he was driving. So what I think I'm going to do this year, and I'm open to other ideas, is to basically have a queue, but I'll create a Google Doc so I can list the names of the queue so you know roughly where you stand. That way you're not just sort of waiting in purgatory. That's my sort of, I don't know, I'm open to other ideas. I've done other things where like alphabets, like, if your letter begins with a C, an F, or a J, you're in this day. But then again, people don't show up. Another option is doing the students who perform poor first. Since I'm not grading it, I can't really police that. Then again, the gunners usually want to come first because they're all excited to go over their papers. So the kids who are most eager are the A students. They're like, oh man, why did I get an A+, right? Those are the ones who are always coming first. Look, I know who you are, right? It happens. Nothing wrong with that. I like ambition. But often students who need the most help aren't coming. So think about it. If you have better ideas, I'm open to suggestions, knowing what you know about law school. But I'm probably going to do just an open Zoom queue. I'll say, whatever time of day, that'll be the Zoom queue. And I'll just keep a Google Doc and just check people off so you know where you stand. So there's like 10 people ahead of you. That means it might be a few hours. Other ideas or other things you want to say? Is that a hand? No. Think about it. Just I've tried everything. I've tried taking a number, random lottery. Nothing works well because no matter what I do, some of you will be unhappy because I saw someone before you, right? Because you have to wait like 5 extra minutes and you didn't get to see when you wanted. So someone's going to be unhappy. And I frankly stop trying to please every student, but I try and find the way that's most respectful of my time and yours. And that's the best I can do. The reason why I don't grade it, and this is also, I used to grade them. You are the largest class I've ever had. So I have 2 sections of 85. This was the largest LSAT class in recent memory. You know this, right? You are the largest section in years. So we have huge sections. I used to have about 115 a semester. I have 170, which is a lot. If I graded every paper carefully, it would probably take me to almost mid-April, probably early April to finish. And by that point, it's not helpful anymore, right? You forgot what the damn question was, right? You forgot. And that's why I don't do it anymore. I used to grade them, and I would work my butt off grading it. And it's like, you remember you got the question? I don't remember what they put, right? No one remembers. So this is my best solution. Exam on Tuesday, review it on Thursday, then over spring break, we do office hours. And then hopefully we come back after spring break and you know where you stand. And if you are in good shape, congratulations. If you need a course correction, maybe we can do it. That's the best I got. Questions or thoughts? Nothing? Don't care? Yeah. I mean, some years I would basically have only like 20% of my students show up for reviews. So I do all this work to grade them and don't even. There were some years people never even picked up their exams. It boggles my mind. They couldn't even bother to walk to my secretary's office to pick up the damn paper. All right, I know where they are right now, but they made their choices. Okay, anything else? All right, let's do some actual law and stop talking about the exam. I want to go back and redo, because we kind of did a little bit faster than I like, the last few examples from our last class. This is from class 14, so let's review them. All right, name tags out, everybody, if you can. Who's up next? You're pointing over there. Yeah, I see that. All right, Anwar, let's do example 2C, okay? And I'll read it. Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life, comma. Then to Baker if Baker gives Alex a proper funeral. What are the present and future interests here, Anwar?
Alex has a present interest in life.
Okay, that's easier, right? Alex has a present interest in life. That's it. All right, go on.
Ollie has a future interest in reversion and fee simple, subject to Baker's bringing executory.
Excellent. Now, I'm just going to stop you. I'll say future interest and reversion. I'll come back to the rest later. What's Baker's interest?
Baker has a springing executory limitation.
That's correct. Future interest in springing. Why is it springing executory limitation, Anwar?
Because it would limit the interest
Correct. What happens is, upon the death of Alex, it goes back to Ollie, at least temporarily. Ollie's just waiting. When the funeral is finally held, Baker terminates or cuts short the interest of Ollie. It's a spring executor limitation because Baker is cutting short the transferor's interest. All right, so now go back. Anwar, what does Ollie have here?
So you have the future interest of reversion, and fee simple subject to Baker's bringing.
Excellent. Very good. A hard question. I mean, we did it last week, but I want to make sure everyone gets that one. Yeah.
For the spring executor limitation, that's also fee simple, right?
Yep. Yes, sir. But the important point to grasp there is after the death of A, there's not a natural termination, right? Baker doesn't get some condition happen, which is a funeral. But upon the death of A, there's a reversion. It goes back automatically to Oliver, at least temporarily. All right, everyone okay with that one? Yeah. All right, Mike, you're up for 3A. Let me read it. 3A. Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life, comma, then to Baker if Baker's reached the age of 21, comma, but if Baker has not reached the age of 21, to Chris. So, Mike, what are the present and the future interests in this conveyance?
So Alex has a present interest in life estate.
Good. Yeah, present interest, life estate. Very good. What else?
Baker has a future interest in contingent remainder and fee simple.
Okay, so first off, why is it the remainder that Baker has?
Because it follows the actual termination and then goes to a third party.
Okay, why is this remainder contingent?
So, no.
Good. You correct yourself, so what you did.
Okay.
No, you did.
Condition precedent.
Correct. What's the condition precedent here?
If the then to Baker, right?
Yeah, the conditions in the same clause that Baker must reach the age of 21. It's a contingent remainder. Baker must reach the age of 21. All right, Mike, finish up. What about Chris? What's Chris's future interest?
Chris has a future interest in contingent remainder.
Aha. Now, why is this one contingent remainder, please?
Because it's but if Baker has not reached the age of 21.
Correct. Again, there's a condition precedent. Mike, what do we call when there's two contingent remainders stacked on top of each other? What do we call that?
Alternative contingent remainder.
Correct. The reason why they're called alternative contingent remainders is there are only two options. It's either option one or option two. Alternatives, right? One or the other. Either Baker gets it, he's 21, or Chris gets it if Baker's not 21. Those are our possibilities. Very good, Mike. Thank you. Mark.
Just in terms of the then to Baker, if Baker's reached age 21, could you? I want to make sure that switching this around from like my own head doesn't screw up the meaning of it. Could you say Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life? Then, if Baker has reached the age of 21 to Baker, because
I have an example very similar to that later, so hold on. If I don't answer your question, come back. But I have an example similar to that where I sort of tweak the language. 3B is very precise in spelling out what happens. Once you start deleting stuff the way Clark suggested, it gets a little messy. This one's very straightforward. Yes, Alexa.
You said it would be either or for the option.
Either Baker gets it or Chris gets it. Those are alternatives.
But could there be a situation where there's more than two?
I could, and then there'd be 3 contingent remainders. You can do that. It's rare, but you can do that. Yeah. I mean, it gets harder to figure out what those conditions are, but you could do it. Any other questions? Yes, Joel.
Is it necessary to explain that they're alternative contingent remainders?
The reason why I stress that is it's your gut check, right? It's your way of checking if you know what you're doing. Because if you have, let's say you have a vested remainder followed by a contingent remainder, you made a mistake, right? The reason why these are paired is to show you that these should come together. If you have something different, then you're probably wrong. But there's nothing special I call them alternative. I think it's just a way of sort of memorizing the pair. Yes, Carissa.
When you're talking about the different, so like for the first one, you do like condition precedent, and you would say like Baker must reach the age of 21.
Correct.
And then like underneath versus you would say like condition precedent and Baker not reaching the age of 21. Is it necessary to say both?
Yeah, that would be correct. Yeah, it's kind of the opposite, Joe. You have to not in there. Yeah. Trey's at the end? No? Okay. All right, Chad, you're up for 3B. So we have Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life, comma. Then to Baker, comma. But if Baker dies under the age of 21 to Chris. Now, I'll start you off. Alex to life, I'll give you the easy one. What are the future interests here?
Baker has a vested remainder in fee simple,
Why do you say a vested remainder?
because he's an ascertained party and there's no condition precedent.
But what about this language? But if Baker dies under the age of 21, that's right there?
It's not a condition precedent.
What kind of condition is it?
That would be a condition subsequent.
That's good. So what's the present interest?
The present interest,
I mean, what's the future interest for Baker? I'm sorry.
vested remainder in fee simple,
Wait, is this going to be a fee simple subject to condition subsequent?
subject,
No. Is this going to be a fee simple subject to condition subsequent?
no,
Why not?
that doesn't exist.
It does exist.
There's
There's absolutely a fee simple subject to condition subsequent. Is this a fee simple subject to a condition that comes afterwards?
Yes.
You change your answer?
Well, it is subject to condition.
What's a fee simple subject to condition subsequent? It does exist, I assure you. It's on your chart. What's a fee simple subject to condition subsequent? Yeah. Daniela? What's a fee simple subject to condition subsequent? Two classes help with this trap. Let's go developer.
Fee simple, but it's not automatically terminated when short and vested of the transfer is election. and state
So-
election.
Is this a fee simple subject to condition subsequent? No, I know what it is, but tell me why it's not a fee simple subject to condition subsequent.
Because Chris can cut short Baker's interest. And the credit comes afterwards.
What is the future interest that matches a fee simple subject to condition subsequent?
I'm not sure. Can you repeat that one more time for me?
What is the future interest that follows a fee simple subject to condition subsequent? Isabella?
Angelica.
Damn it. My daughter's middle names, one's Isabella and one's Angelica, so who's Isabella? She sits there, right? Oh, come on, I'm so close. Okay. Angelica.
Right of reentry.
Right of entry. So why is this not a fee simple subject to condition subsequent?
Because there's no right of reentry.
Yeah. So I tripped up both classes to the same question. It's so easy for me to trick you on an exam. So easy. I could do this all day, right? One after the other. Even though there's a condition after the comma, This is not a fee simple subject condition subsequent. Again, it's a vested remainder. Don't lose your bearings. It's a future interest that follows a third party. I'm sorry, follows a natural termination, goes to a third party. Okay? It's vested, there's no condition precedent, and it's ascertained. Vested remainder. You're going to want to see the word but if and say, oh, that's a fee simple subject condition subsequent. That's not a future interest, that's a present interest. Right? You cannot have a present interest in the future. Right? You can't put that sort of present interest into the future. This is a remainder. Another clue, you're always going, or almost always going to see a right of entry paired with a fee simple subject condition subsequent. Deborah?
Does it also, I know it's also the fact that, I mean, it's present and future, but when you were asking the question, I thought about the fact that like the condition subsequent, isn't it for the transfer or? And
Correct.
for- In this case. it's
Correct.
for
It's
the-
another good reason why. Yeah, there's several reasons why that's the wrong answer. Deborah, give us another good reason. With the right of entry, it belongs to Ollie. Oh, the transferor. Right? But here, the future interest belongs to a third party. There are so many reasons why this is not a fee simple subject condition subsequent. But what you have to remember, and you have to sort of resist the urge, when you see a condition after the comma, don't go for condition subsequent. That's not what is here. Okay, so you were right, Chad. You gave me the right answer, but I had to chase you down for it, right? The answer is correct. Okay? Baker has a future interest in vested remainder. I'm not done with that sentence yet. Put your hands on, right? A future interest in vested remainder. I know you were passing. I'm not done. Probably put the period. I'm not done. Right? Baker has a future interest in vested remainder. Sarah, what about Chris?
Chris has the shifting executory
Why is it a shifting executory interest?
because he's cutting short the transfer's future interest.
Okay, that's correct. Chris has a future interest in shifting executory limitation. It'll be simple. Okay, why? Chris is a third party. He's going to cut short Baker's interest. Therefore, it's shifting. Sarah, finish it up. What does Baker have?
So he has future interest in investor remainder is subject to Chris's shifting executory limitation.
Excellent. Very good. Baker has a future interest in vested remainder in fee simple that is subject to Chris's right executory limitation. They have to mirror each other. Whatever the future interest is must mirror the present interest. But let's just walk through what happens here, right? In 3B, as soon as Alex dies, Blackacre goes to Baker. If Baker's 21, he has it in fee simple. Congratulations. But if Baker's not yet 21, he sort of holds on to it for a while. If for whatever reason Baker dies before the age of 21, Chris cuts out the interest and takes it over. Now look at example 3A. It's different. In 3A, if Baker is not 21 years at the time of Alex's death, Baker will never get Blackacre. It goes to Chris. You see the difference, right? In example 3A, Baker will never get it unless he's 21 at the time of Alex's death. Example 3B, Baker will get it at the time of Alex's death, no matter how old he is, but he might lose it if he dies early. Of course, he's dead. You can't have something if you're dead, but his heirs will not inherit it. Yes, Maya.
I guess I'm confused. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong, I think I'm looking at the wrong definition.
Shifting is by cutting short the interest of the transferee.
So Baker is
And-
a transfer.
Correct. The springing is cutting short the transferor, who's Ali. Who's O.
Okay, so if there was.
3A. Go back to the funeral question, right? That was a question we had a few minutes ago from Anwar. With the funeral, you're cutting short the interest of the transferor, Oliver, right? And that's a springing executory interest. Make sense?
It does make sense, but.
Good. Good. Glad to hear it. Okay. Everyone with me on 3A and 3B. This is all old. We did this all last week. This is nothing new, or last class. Okay, move on. All right, Kim. I'm sorry, Kay. It's a really little letter. I saw K, and I can see the rest of it. My eyesight's getting worse. I should be able to see without glasses. Now I need these things. We all get old. It happens. If you don't have glasses yet, you'll need them. I didn't get them until I was like 26 or 27. I never needed them. I had them as a kid, but then I sort of grew out of it. So you will need glasses soon enough. And don't be in denial like I was. I probably went a year where I probably should have gone a year early. I was like, I don't need glasses. I kept making the font bigger and bigger, and I was in denial. Eventually, I caved. It was fine. Went to LensCraft. I'm 2 hours later. It was done. All right. Okay. I don't know. It wasn't even Danny. I was just like, I don't need glasses. You're so proud. You start noticing, like, wow, I can't really make that out. Yeah. Bigger fonts. Expand. All right. Okay. Let's do number 3C. This one's hard. Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life, comma. Then to Baker. If Baker reaches the age of 21. Whether Clark, I think this is your question, or something very close to it. All right, okay, so help us out. Walk us through this, please. Okay, that's the easy one, right? Everyone always gets that one right. Although students morning didn't get that one right. Right? Alex has a present interest in life estate. Okay, next.
Baker has a future interest in
Why do you say that, Alex? Alex, okay.
because Baker, or is it the remainder because it follows the natural termination of Alex's life estate and goes to Baker as a third party. It's contingent because it is subject to
Okay, so now here comes the hard part, right? So far, so good. Baker has a future interest in contingent remainder. There's a condition precedent, it goes to a third party. Now, what happens, Kay, if Baker is not 21 years old?
I think then that Ollie has a future interest in reversion.
Correct. That's correct. Why is it a reversion?
Because it will follow the natural termination of Alex's life estate.
Excellent. Excellent. Very good. Ollie would have a future interest in reversion in fee simple. All right, but everyone see why. If Baker's not yet 21, it's got to go somewhere. The conveyance doesn't tell you where it goes. You have to sort of draw an inference. And the inference is it goes back to O's reversion. Does everyone get K's answer? Everyone understand what she just said? Trey, is that a hand?
Yeah. Is there supposed to be a period there now? Are you done with that shit? Like,
What am I forgetting? There's a period.
I know, like, are you done though? Like,
Am I missing something? Are you trying,
doesn't it go back to Baker if he turns 21?
No, not in this question. No. If this is a reversion, in other words, let me answer the question this way. If Baker has a contingent remainder, he has one shot of hitting Blackacre. He has to be 21 when Alex dies. If Baker is not 21 when Alex dies, he will never get Blackacre. Now, I'm sort of dodging Trey's question because there are 2 ways to answer this example. Right? There are 2 ways. I'll call this option number 1. Okay. There's a second way to answer it without being somewhat much with your question. I think that's what you're getting at. If you're the lawyer, Ashley, if you're the lawyer for Baker, do you like that answer that Baker's only one chance of obtaining Blackacre? That's a good answer to you. What are you going to argue? And this is something what Trey was saying a minute ago.
Okay, does Baker have a spring?
Tell me why. You're exactly on the right track.
Because if Ollie has a future interest in reversion, Baker can cut off.
Excellent. Okay, so let's write this out. Yeah, this is option number 2. I'm not saying this is the better answer. I'm telling you just what there are different ways of reading this. I'll give you my preference in a moment. Okay? So again, Alex has a present interest in life estate. Ashley, what would Ollie have in your reading?
Ollie would have a future interest
In,
reversion.
okay,
Subject is be simple. Subject to Baker's bringing executory litigation.
excellent, perfect. Very good. This is hard to keep in your head also, by the way, so very good job, right? And then finish up, what does Baker have?
And Baker has a bringing executory signature interest
That's fine.
in bringing executory litigation.
Perfect, excellent answer. Very good. Let's just walk through this and see why this is. Baker from Ollie to Alex for life, comma. Then to Baker if Baker reaches age of 21. You could read this in such a way that immediately upon Alex's death, it goes back to Ollie, at least temporarily. Ollie holds on to it till Baker's 21. If Baker is already 21, well, then Ollie has it just for a split second, for an instant. But let's say that Baker's 20 years old. Ollie holds on to it till the kid turns 21. And then Baker cuts short Ollie's reversion. When you cut short the interest of the transferor, it's called a springing executory interest. So what happens here is that Baker has the future interest. I'm sorry, Baker has a springing executory interest. Then Ollie's reversion is subject to that springing executory interest. These are two possible answers. Tamika, is your hand?
Yeah. So I wrote it the second way, and going off of that, like if I wanted to write it the first way, that's considered okay as well.
Okay, so I'll tell you which one I like better. But does everyone see these two options? I like number 1 better. Right. Oh yeah, I like that. That's good. Oh, and I'll tell you why I like number 1 better. Right. It's the law prefers sort of certainty. Right. With option number 1, either Baker's 21 or he's not. We don't have to sit around waiting indefinitely to see how old this kid gets. Right. Also, it makes more sense for this to naturally follow A's death. Immediately upon A's death, is it 21? Yes. Okay, you get Blackacre. Oh, you're not 21? Sorry, you lose out. Right? It's less likely the intent was to sit here and wait indefinitely until this kid turns 21. Probably the intent was, when I die, if he's 21, he gets it. If not, he loses it. But actually, it's not wrong. And Tamika, I don't think are wrong. I would give full credit to both of them. But if you had to ask me, whatever, right? If you had to ask me, I would think he's the better answer, right? As a general rule, springing executory interests are rare. It's actually hard for me to make examples of springing because they don't come up very often. So the more natural, the more common one would be the contingent manners. That's fine, I thought. Yeah.
So I know you said that on the test you don't want us, throwing out all the answers to see. But in a situation
Pick one.
like this- Okay.
Pick one, my friend. Pick one. Wait. I'll even say sometimes pick the strongest answer. What's the best argument in favor of X? Pick one.
I'm sorry to do it, make this a little different, but if you said then to Baker, if Baker hasn't reached the age of 21, then it would just be that first one, right? Because there's no.
Right. If you said if he has reached age of 21, has reached in past tense,
Right.
that would be a contingent remainder. That's much easier.
Yeah.
But reaches
Could be either, right.
could be either way. Yeah, no, that's a fair point. The wording really does matter. And I can really trip you up on the wording. And I've done what Clark just asked. I can tweak you a little bit. Yeah.
Okay, we're going off of that. Like, if you gave us a point and you were like, you said Baker is 19 and like the sentence after, and then we hit either one.
Well, look, if you're 19, there's no guarantee you reach 21. Have too much to drink on your birthday, and then Look, I mean, it's a sad part of my class. People die randomly for tragic reasons. People have to die for these questions. Every question is a life estate. Poor Alex keeps dying. I might assume the question keeps dying in every class. Obviously, Kenny, but it's every class she's going to die. But that's just the way property works. All right, everyone got the two options again. I think option number 1 is probably better than option 2, but I can give full credit for both of them. If you don't get these three, they're all in the case summary on the folder on the Google Drive, the executory limitation one. So there's nothing new. I've given you all this before, and I walk through in detail how each one works. All right. All right. Any questions in these three? We're 40 minutes in, but we're making good time. Okay, let's move on. All right. If you've noticed, your book has these examples. These are from the book. There are 9 or 10 of them that I have here. I want to do all of them. All right, Tristan. Example number 1. O conveys Blackacre to A for life. Excellent. A has a present interest in life estate. O has a future interest in reversion. Is the reversion vested or contingent? I'm sorry? I can't hear you. What? Is there such a thing as contingent reversion? Doesn't exist. Not a thing. Okay, good. You fall for it. Some of you on the exam say it's a possible reversion. You'll say it. I'm trying to beat it out of you. Or at least metaphorically speaking, I should say. There's no physical contact. We have a plexiglass divider. There's no beating going on here. How am I still employed? I have no idea. That's right. Thank you, Tristan. That's very good. Okay. There's no vested reversion, just reversion, period. All right. Is it Grant? Yeah, Grant number 2. Goodness. You guys are funny. All right. Do number 2. What do we have here?
A has a present interest in life estate.
Okay. That's good. What do we have? For the easy one.
Has a future interest in contingent remainder.
Okay. Why is it contingent remainder in fee simple?
Because of a condition pursued.
Okay. What's the condition of precedent here?
If B survives A.
Correct. If B survives A. Exactly right. Are you done?
No, you would probably need to add in Ollie.
Yeah. What about O? What's O have?
O has a interest in reversion.
Why is it reversion?
Future interest.
I know what you meant. Right. Why is it reversion?
It follows the natural termination. Because it follows the natural termination of a life estate,
Good. And it goes to.
and it goes to a third party, or excuse me, and it goes back to the transfer.
You correct yourself. Very good. I saw it the second.
I'm trying not to look at.
Yeah. No. The second it crossed your mind. No, that's not right. No, you're right. No, you're correct. That's absolutely right. Whenever you have a contingent remainder, and only one remainder, there's probably reversion afterward. Right? Not always, but if you have a contingent remainder, you have to account for what happens to it if it doesn't happen. He died before 21. In that case, we say O's reversion. Now, it doesn't say O's reversion. There's nothing there that tells you this, right? You have to sort of, play out in your head what happens if he died. Yes, Maya.
Why could springing not work here?
Well, springing only follows a present interest that's subject to an executory interest, right? No one's cutting short Ollie's interest, right? There's no termination of Ollie's interest. Either B gets it or O gets it. Those are your two options. So no one's interest being cut short. Upon A's death, either B gets it or O gets it. Those are your options. There's no executory interest. Other questions? Is that a hand up?
Yeah, so if we put subject to condition precedent in the sentence, we shouldn't put that, or is that?
Well, that's explaining why it's a contingent remainder, right? So if you ask why is it a contingent remainder, you say that Baker's ascertained, but there is a condition precedent, and that's correct. Good. Everyone okay with number 2? All right, Dylan, let's try number 3.
So A has a.
All right, let me read it first. You guys are so excited. I love it. You love future interest, right? You're right. No, I love your eagerness. Let me read it first. Okay. O conveys to A for life, comma, then to B and her heirs. All right, now you can start.
Okay. A has a present interest in life estate.
Okay, that's good.
B has a
Well, is it B? Who has a future interest?
heirs. B and no.
You fell into my trap. You fell into my trap. Who has a future interest? Is it B? B's heirs? Who has a future interest?
Is it not B?
It's B. It's B. Trust me, some of you will say the heirs have a future interest. Someone did that in the morning class, the same exact moment too. Right? I feel dirty doing these traps, but I'd rather you get tripped up now where it doesn't count. Okay? All right, so B has a future interest, not B's heirs, B has a future interest.
B has a future interest in vested remainder in fee simple.
Why is it a vested remainder in fee simple? You're correct.
B is ascertained that there is no condition precedent.
Correct. Very good. Thank you. And I hate tricking people, but it makes a point. Someone fell for it this morning also. The remainder belongs to B, not B's heirs. Okay. It's vested because B is ascertained. He's named. We know he exists. And there's no precedent. This is the simplest questions. Good. So number 4 for Vanessa, please. It says, O conveys to A for life comma, then to A's children and their heirs. A has one child, B, we'll call him Bobby, make it easy. All right, Vanessa, let's work this through. What's the present interest?
A has a present interest in life estate.
Correct. A is a present interest in life estate. Very good. What else we got? What's the future interest?
So A's children,
What about the heirs of the A's children?
they have,
Do the heirs have a future interest?
yes,
Dylan?
There's no net interest.
or the one child has the future interest.
What about that child's heirs?
No,
Why not?
because you have to be dead in order to have heirs.
Can a living person have heirs?
No.
No. All right. See, it gets harder when the questions are a little bit worded differently than not what we're used to. All right, so try this again. Who has a future interest?
B.
What do we write here? Who has a future
A's
interest?
child has a future.
Child or children?
Well, he only has one right now.
Okay, well,
A's,
is it children or child? Whatever it is. Is it B? Is it a child or is it a children? What do I write here?
wouldn't it be open, subject to open?
What subject's open? To who?
The future interest,
Well, if it's subject open, am I talking about a child or children?
well, if they have one more child, then it would be 2 children.
All right. I think you're overthinking this a bit, but let me help. When I'm saying who has a future interest, you copy what's written there, right?
Okay,
What does it say in the question, Vanessa?
says A's children.
That's future interest, right?
Okay,
Again, I'm deliberately trying to trick you here in this class, so just be very careful. Don't believe anything I say. I'm warning you, right? So, what's that?
Nice to know I delete all my notes.
No. What I put on the screen is correct. I wouldn't. That's me if I start deleting. No, if I put it on the screen, I think it's correct. So A's children, plural, have a future interest. All right. So Vanessa, how do we characterize the future interest of A's children?
invested remainder, because it's the third party, so it's.
Oh, first off, why is this a remainder?
Because it's a future interest that follows the natural termination of
Correct.
third party.
Correct. So it's a future remainder. I'm sorry, future interest, invested remainder. Keep going. Why is it subject to open?
Because she could have more kids.
Have more kids. All right. Now, Vanessa, another question for you. If the size of this class of children can grow or shrink, isn't there a contingent remainder? Why is this vested and not contingent?
Because they're ascertained. One's already ascertained.
Yeah, but only one. We don't have the other ones.
It says subject to open.
What's the subject to open mean?
If they have more kids, then those are included.
What's the definition of a contingent remainder? How do we define it?
Contingent remainder, you not ascertained person and subject to condition precedent.
Is there a condition precedent here?
No.
No. It's a vested remainder that's subject to open. It's a vested remainder that's subject to open. The class can grow or shrink. The key point here is that there's a single living child, B, and B is alive. Okay. Vanessa, does O have any interest here?
No.
Why not?
Because the future interest is with the children.
And what if B dies? Doesn't O get it? If B dies, the one kid dies and no more kids are born, doesn't O?
We're gonna go back to A.
A is dead. Right, because A has the life estate, so A is dead.
Then it goes to the A's children's heirs.
Who is A's children's heirs?
Well, after they're dead,
But who was the one living? Who was the one child? What's his name?
B,
So what happens when B dies?
it goes to B's heirs.
Correct. You inherit the best remainder. Right? You got it. You're done. Thank you. You're struggling. No, you did good. You did good. I'm trying to trick you. It's rather tricky now than the exam, right? When you have a vested remainder, that's a fixed interest. Your heirs inherited. So in this case, B's heirs would inherit the remainder from their father or mother, whatever it is. Yes, Tamika.
Okay, we're done with like the overarching thing now, but I wrote some extra stuff in there.
Yeah, what'd you write?
And make sure that I'm not wrong.
Okay.
So I wrote A children have a future interest in invested remainder subject to open subject to partial divestment and fee simple. Is that correct?
Right. So subject to open and subject to partial divestment are kind of synonymous.
Okay.
I don't think you have to write both. In fact, subject to open is more precise than subject to partial divestment. You tell me exactly what's going on. All right. O has no interest here. I'm sorry, Deb, 1 second. O has no interest here. That's an important point. Because so long as there's one child, a vested remainder is created, that would be inherited by that child. Deborah, I think Alexa had her hand up also.
Just a question, is there a example in which we would use subject to partial divestment over subject to open?
I was hoping we were going to ask this. Yeah, but I don't want to get into it. Sometimes just trust me because it'll go in a detour that I don't want to go down. But subject to open is good. Yes, Alexa. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that said your hand up. Everyone okay with example number 4? Yes, Lloyd.
You're saying subject to open is more accurate because the class could or could not.
It could shrink or grow. It tells you exactly what's going to happen. Right, subject to open means more or fewer children can be born in or out. Is that the hand tray?
Yeah, subject to open and fee simple, right?
Yes, it is, sir. Thank you. Yep. Okay. No, if you gotta raise your hand. I make mistakes. Trust me, I make mistakes. Yes, Carissa.
Just by curiosity, is it investor remainder in the subject to open or investor remainder subject to open in the? Does the order matter?
You know what? It's actually investor remainder and fee simple subject to open. Yeah. I think it was my mistake. I think it was my mistake. I think there's not like a grammatical scheme of what's correct. It's sort of what if words approved, and you sort of copy that. It's not like there's any statute saying you put this word here, you put this word there. But this sort of I learned it, how I teach it. But I think Chris is correct. Look, when you're correcting the teacher, you know you got your stuff together. It's good. It's actually it's a good sign. All right. Okay, number 4.
Yeah.
Sarah. All right, Sarah, you got number 5. So you read it. This one's a little tricky. All right. O conveys to A for life, comma. Okay. Then to B, then to the heirs of B. I misspoke. To A for life, comma. Then to the heirs of B. And I'm telling you that B is still alive. So I'll start you off. A has a present interest. Life estate. Make that easy off your plate. One less thing to answer. Who has the future interest?
O has a future interest in reversion and B simple subject to B's heirs being statutory.
Ooh. Let's take it one step at a time. What interest do the heirs of B have? What interest do the heirs of B have? It's a hard sentence to say.
In the most simplistic form, a future interest in remainder in B simple.
Okay, futures in remainder. Let's say that we write this conveyance today, right? A for life, and then B dies the very next day. B's heirs are ascertained. What happens upon A's death?
There would be, it's an immediate remainder, it would go to the heirs.
Correct. So how would we characterize, though, the time this is drafted of what the heirs of B have? What future interest the heirs of B have?
At the time that it's drafted, since you said that B was alive, I said that they have a future interest in springing executive.
You're not wrong, but you're giving me the second answer that I think is one that might be a little bit better. So try it again, right? Are the heirs ascertained when this is drafted?
They're not. No, they're not.
They're not. So what would you call a future interest where the interest holders are not yet ascertained?
A contingent remainder.
Yeah. So let's go. I know what you think. Let's go down this road for a minute, right? Let's say that the heirs of B have a contingent remainder. Okay. What would O have in this case?
Would have a future interest in reversion.
Correct. Yeah. So it's just this one's tricky. The heirs of B would have a future interest in contingent remainder, and then O has a future interest in reversion. This is kind of weird, right? Because usually the reversion comes after the remainder, but here the reversion might actually come first. So let's walk through this, right? Let's say that A dies and B is still alive. What was reversion? Let's say that A dies and B is already dead. The remainder goes to the heirs of B. So basically you have a contingent remainder for the heirs and a reversion. Now, I'll get your other answer in a minute because I think it's also valid. But everyone see how that one works. If B is still alive at A's death, the heirs of B will never take anything, right? If B is still alive at the death of A, the heirs of B will never take anything. O will keep it forever. Now, Sarah gave us, I'll call this option 1. Sarah gave us what I'll call option number 2. Sarah, what was your second one, which I think is also as valid?
It was that O had a future interest in reversion and be simple subject to B's heirs springing executive.
All right, I can't type quite that fast, right? Again, O is a future interest in reversion.
And B simple
Okay.
subject to B's heirs springing executory interest.
Correct. limitation. And what does B's heirs have?
B's heirs have a future interest in springing executory indemnity.
Excellent. Okay. Now this one is kind of like the funeral question, or kind of like the question we did a few moments ago. After A's death, if B's still alive, O becomes like a temporary holder. He holds on to it for a while, and he's waiting for what to happen? For B to die. And as soon as B dies, B's heirs are ascertained. The heirs execute, or they cut short O's reversion, and Blackacre goes to the heirs. Yeah, there's a difference, right? In option number 1, B's heirs have one shot to inherit Blackacre if B's already dead. But in option 2, B's heirs sort of just wait around, wait to see what happens. And if eventually B dies, which he will, everyone dies, the heirs will get it. I'm still partial to option number 1. Again, the law does not like springing executory interests. We have to sit and wait around for someone to die. It's easier to just determine, is he alive? Yes, goes back to him. Right? Look what happens at A's death. It's simple to decide if B is alive or dead. What if B is 1 year old? He lives to be 120 years old. Right? For a century, we have to just wait to see if this guy's going to die. He's living there. He's building his family, his estate, etc. We don't like those sorts of interests. So unless the language specifies it clearly, we go with option 1. But you're not wrong, Sarah. I think you're very astute to see that. But I think option 1 is probably the better answer. Full credit for both of them. Okay. Yes, Monet.
Are we past this point? Would it be per option B measured by the life of B, or we don't do that part?
Well, the life of state is measured by the life of A. So where's the par option B coming in from?
Because they don't get it until B dies.
No. Their future interest is not. Oh, I see what you're saying. Hold on, just give me a second. I had to work that one through. So you're saying. So I'm not going to write this down. I want to just say it live what Monet asked me. So what you're saying is that a future interest, B's have the heirs of B have a future interest in remainder in life estate per option V. Is that what you said? That's very creative. I thought of that one. I think you could probably do that. I think Kevin will tell me I'm wrong, right?
Well, the question that I think is happening is that if he is alive, he doesn't have the game. So we're talking about future.
Yeah, no, but I think to Monet, it'd be a contingent remainder per option V.
Right. It depends upon who dies.
I think it's still a contingent remainder. But I think you could actually have the contingent remainder per option V, the life of Baker. Yeah, I think that actually works. I've not had that before. So yeah, look, teaching this class for a decade, never had that before. Good job. Yeah, you're a fist bump for you. Right. I'm behind glass. I can't do it. No, Kevin, is that you have a check?
That was the same thing I was trying to figure out, because if the heirs don't exist until B is dead.
They do not. That's why it's contingent remainder, because they're not ascertained. Never invest. Look at B. Well, it's a funny thing though, because this is why I like Monet's answer. It's not like if you have kids, right? Because not everyone has kids. Everyone has heirs, right? Again, no one dies with heirs. Don't give me that. That's wrong, right? So eventually, B is going to have heirs. So it becomes certain at some point at the death of B, and that's creative. I like it. And you can you could think of different ways of every year at a grade of final exam. I'm like, wow, I didn't see that. That's a good answer. And I give credit for it because it's a good answer. Arturo, was your hand up? And then more?
Yeah, you mentioned before that I guess I'm struggling in finding why these heirs have an interest in this problem.
Because it goes to the heirs of B, right? I was tripping up the Vanessa or Dylan a minute ago. It was to A's children and their heirs. Right, the heirs came after the word "and." This was just so the indication be simple. But here, it's to the heirs of B. Right, the word to to that indicates who has a future interest. Whatever follows to, that's a future interest holder. Here, it's the heirs of B, direct straight up.
Even though you don't have heirs when you're alive.
Doesn't matter. They're not ascertained. You'll have heirs eventually, or not. I mean, look. I mean, maybe there's a nuclear. Putin pushes a button, right? We all die, and we have no heirs. We have no bomb shelter in this building. No basements in Houston. We're all screwed, right? We're all done. Anwar.
Yeah, kind of just piggybacking on that. Even if the question would say B is alive and has 3 children, it doesn't matter because
They all died. All those kids have died. Yeah, I had one exam years ago where there was during the rodeo, but there was like a bull riding accident where the bull just stampeded and killed the entire family. So basically, the entire family was wiped out. Or like Anastasia, right? You know the Russians, right? Where basically the entire family was killed, but for Anya, she survived. Deborah.
I don't know if you kind of already answered this, but is example 5, I guess, assuming, like, who has it in the meantime between?
Well, that's exactly right. In option number 1, there is no meantime. O gets it forever. In option number 2, O holds on to it temporarily until B dies.
So B never gets it, right?
In option number 1, right? In option number 1, oh no, B never gets it. He's not involved at all. B gets nothing. It's the heirs of B. B has no interest at all. He's just the measuring life, which is why I sort of like Monet's answer. You give B something to do here, right? B has nothing to do with this question except for being the measuring life. That's why I like your answer. Trey.
Yeah, Monet kind of blew my mind. I'm thinking that the measure of life, of Z's life, would be the part or B part would more apply to the reversion or in what she said about the spring executory limitation.
Well, the Monet's answer I think works if there's a contingent remainder, right? It works if there's a contingent remainder. If there's not a contingent remainder, I don't think you can have. I don't think you have a product for V. At that point, you have basically a condition on the executory limitation. So I think Monet's answer only works in option 1. I don't think it works in option number 2.
Okay.
What else?
Happens every day. People are like, wow, I never thought of that. You write a question, you think you know the possible answer, then someone surprises you. Happens. People with me. Okay, we're making good progress. Let's try another one. Try number 6. I think we'll finish at least these questions. We're on here, Cade. Okay, so Cade, you get number 6. It says, O conveys to A for life, comma, then to B and her heirs if B survives A. And if B does not, I'm reading the next one. I'm sorry, I just confused all of you immensely. Number 6, my eyes jumped the line. O conveys to A for life, comma, then to B and her heirs if B survives A. What's going on there?
So A has a present interest in life state.
Okay.
B has a future interest in contingent remainder.
Good.
In fee simple, and then O has a future interest in reversion.
Very good. A is a present interest in life estate. B has a future interest in say again.
Contingent remainder.
Ooh, you almost said contingent remainder. I heard it. I heard that. Everyone jumped. Contingent remainder and fee simple. Good. And finish it up.
O has a future interest in reversion.
Good. Excellent. O is future interest in reversion fee simple. Excellent. Again, when there's a contingent remainder, there's probably reversion. Not always, but it's a good indication that you have. All right. Everyone get that one? All right, Monet, you want to do number 7, please? Well, I'll read it to you. It says, O conveys A for life, comma, then to B and her heirs if B survives A, comma, and if B does not survive A, to C and his heirs, period. All right, I'll start you off. A is a life estate. Present interest life estate.
He has a future interest in contingent remainder and fee simple.
Correct. Very good. What about C?
He has future interest in remainder.
What kind of remainder?
Contingent remainder.
Thank you.
In fee simple.
Perfect. Does O have anything here?
No, but there's an alternative remainder.
Well, the alternative remainders are B or C. Those are your alternatives, correct? Right. Well, when I say alternative remainders, what I mean is it's going to be one of these options. Either B gets it or C gets it. No O. O does never get it. Right? Either B or C. So these are alternative, these are alternates, right? Alternative contingent remainders. Very good. Thank you, Monet. Everybody see this? Yeah, we've done this question several times, but it should be second nature. All right. Let's go on. It's Molly, right? Oh, I just jumped a row. Whoops. Smiles like a think on. Right. She's like, where me? I'm sorry. Smile, you're next. All right, you'll do number 8, please. I'll read it. All right. O conveys to A for life, comma, then to B and her heirs, comma. But if B does not survive A, to C and his heirs. All right, so I'll start you off. A has a present interest in life estate. Okay, take it from here. What does B have? Well, let's stop you right there. Why are you saying remainder?
Because it follows the natural termination.
Mhm.
Present in-
And it goes to who?
And it goes to a third party.
Okay, so far, so good. Now, is it vested or contingent?
It's contingent.
Why is it contingent?
Because there is a condition precedent.
What's that condition precedent?
The survival of A.
Where does that condition appear, Samaya?
The clauses are
After the comma.
So it's a condition subsequent.
Yeah, so is this remainder vested or contingent?
I'm assuming it has to do the other if it's not.
No, don't assume. I might be tricking you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's still contingent.
But you said the condition comes after the comma.
I was given to an.
Read it. To A for life, comma, then to B and his heirs, comma. But if B does not survive A, to C and his heirs. The condition comes after the comma. Is this a vested remainder or contingent remainder?
I think it's a contingent remainder.
No.
No.
No. No, let's try this again. What's the definition of a vested remainder? How do we define it?
It's a remainder given to an ascertained person.
Okay, is B ascertained?
Yes.
Check. Okay. Is there a condition precedent here?
No.
There's not. So what kind of remainder do we have? It's vested. Don't fall into this trap. I can do this all day, every day. Put the comma. So I put the condition after the comma. The same question for Chad 30 minutes ago. Same exact question. If the condition comes after the comma, it is not a condition precedent. A vested remainder cannot have a condition precedent. There's no condition precedent here. This remainder is vested. Okay, everyone see that? I'm not done with you, Smile. I'll come back to you in a second. So B has a future interest in vested remainder. Let's finish the rest of it. I'm sorry?
B has a future interest in vested remainder and
Is that your final answer?
subject to
Now you got it. What does C have? Let's do C first, then we'll come back to B. What does C have? C has a future interest in
We have a future interest in, um,
what is C doing to B's interest?
He's cutting it short, so he has a future interest in shifting executory limitation.
Correct. C has a future interest in shifting executory limitation. And finish up, Smile. What does B have?
Has a future interest in vested remainder in fee simple subject to C's future interest in shifting executory limitation.
Excellent. Okay. He has a future interest in vested remainder in fee simple, subject to C's shifting executory limitation. And C has a future interest in shifting executory limitation in fee simple. That's a mouthful. That's a lot of words to say. All right, it's a lot of words. Very good, Smile. Thank you. You're done. Okay. Let's look what happens here. A is a life estate. Immediately upon A's life, it goes to B. Okay. But what happens if B is already dead? It goes to C. What Samaya really wanted to say was, oh, it's contingent remainders, alternative contingent remainders, right? Just like example number 7. But it all changes because of the comma. The comma changes everything. This has to be a vested remainder. And if there's a vested remainder, it cannot be followed by a contingent remainder, right? The vested remainder must be divested. It must be cut short by an executory limitation. So B has a future interest in vested remainder that's subject to the executory limitation. This is why you need to get the first one right. If you say the first one's contingent remainder, the second one's wrong as well. It's like a package, right? If you bomb this question the first half, you lose all credit. You get the entire question wrong. You have to get both parts right to get credit. I mean, I'll give you partial credit because you did something right, but you got the first one wrong, mischaracterized it. Everybody see example number 8. Yes, Keith.
You said a contingent remainder can't follow a vested remainder.
No. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen one. It's possible, but I don't think I've ever seen one like that.
Okay.
I never want to say never, because I'm sure someone somewhere did it, but I can't think of one. All right, we're about 10 minutes left. Let's see how far we go. All right, let's try number 14. I think it's for Tamika. All right. I'll read aloud. O conveys to A and his heirs, but if A dies with issue surviving him, to B and his heirs.
Okay, so A has a present interest in fee simple subject to shifting executory limitation. And then B has a future interest in executory limitation.
One more time, just a little more slowly. I can't type quite as fast. Starting at the beginning.
Okay. A has a present interest in fee simple subject to shifting executory limitation.
Okay.
And that's because it cuts the transferee's interest short.
Okay.
And then B has a future interest in shifting executory limitation in fee simple.
You talk faster than I can type. I think I got this one. Did I get that right? Okay. Let's walk through this one. Very good. I think you're correct, by the way. A is a present interest in fee simple, subject to shifting executory limitation. Now to A and his heirs, comma, but if A dies with issue surviving him, to B and her heirs. So upon A's death, right, Blackacre will go to B if A dies without issue. If A does have issue, it stays in his family, right? So it's going to be a fee simple if there are kids for A. If there are no kids, the property goes to B. What B is really doing is he's cutting short the interest of B's issue, right? B's issue are just waiting. Oh my goodness, I can't wait until my daddy dies because they don't get black acre. But if the kids predecease their parent, the issue get nothing. Right? There are no children. It goes over to B. So it's a shifting executory limitation in fee simple. It's cutting short the interest of A's issue. Yeah.
Would it be improper to say A's issue of future interest in these simple subjects to B's?
Say that again.
A's issue have a future interest in these simple subject to B's shifting executory limitation. Is that improper?
Let me think about that for a second. No. No, and this was the same question to Vanessa and Sarah before. You need the word to, right? A person only has a future interest if their name follows the word to, T-O, right? A is named, right, to A. I mean, you never notice this, but I've been doing this all the way, right? To A, to B. Unless you come after the word to, I don't care about you. So you're right. I mean, as a logical matter, you're correct. A's issue are sitting around waiting because they have potential interest. But if the children are alive, they just get it from their father as an inheritance. So I think, and you know what, actually, I'm thinking back, that's not correct. There's no guarantee to issue the heirs, right? You don't have to leave your property to your kid. So actually, that's not right. There's no certainty that you should get anything to father the right kind of will. So you know what, I take it back, that's not fair. But you know why, right? That's why I have to really think these things through before I give you an answer. Very good, Tamika. Thank you so much for that.
Back to 7 and 8.
7 and 8. My goodness, scrolling back up. Right.
Because it seems like there's no material difference besides the legalese.
That's it. That's the commas. The commas matter.
Okay.
That's it. Legally, you're going to pay your student loans back, right? That's why you're going to make money. You come to law school to learn legalese, so you can out legalese someone else. Trey.
So example 14, would A not be able to sell it, right? Because he has that executive limitation.
He could, knowing upon his death potentially. It's a risky sale. No. Yeah, and more.
Kind of jumping out those two questions from Ryan and Jay. So there can be executory limitation on present interest, because before we had only done like on future interest, so I was kind of just confused on the verbiage and.
Yeah, you can have a future interest in shifting. You have a present, yeah. I have two more. I want to get these through, so let's just try and get these through before we leave. We did 14. Clark, you get 15, and then Alexa, you're in deck for 16. If you want to start thinking about it. O conveys A for life, comma, and to B in our heirs, comma. But if B dies under the age of 21, to C in his heirs. And we learn that B is 15.
A has a present interest in life.
That's easy one.
Can
Go on.
I skip to C?
Yeah, you can skip to C. That's fine.
Okay. C has a future interest in shifting executory limitation.
That's correct. That's correct. And actually, I think skipping is actually a prudent step. You want to come back to B now?
Yes, I would.
Please.
B has a future interest. A future interest in vested remainder. In fee simple.
Good.
Subject to C's shifting executive.
Perfect. Excellent. Well done. And I actually like the way you did out of order. I think it actually makes a little bit more sense. We have a life estate, comma to be in her heirs. That's a vested remainder. There is no condition precedent. The condition comes after the comma. Don't make that mistake. You're going to want to make the mistake, but the condition comes after the comma. Right? Don't say, oh, it's a fee simple subject condition subsequent. No, that's when your exam is all messed up. If you say there's a fee simple subject condition subsequent, because there's but if, I know you're in trouble. It's a vested remainder, but it's not a vested remainder in fee simple period. That vested remainder can be cut short by C. Okay, how? If B dies under the age of 21, then C cuts it short. B's got 6 years to go. That's a long time. A lot can happen in 6 years. So it's a vest remainder that can be cut short by C's executory limitation. Everyone see that one? All right, let's do one more. We'll wrap it up. 16. Alexa, go ahead. It says O conveys to Hartford School Board. Oh, no, you know what? I want to skip 16. Sorry, you're off the hook. I hate 16. This is a question that's, oh, no, I want to do 16. I'm skipping 17. All right, you're back on. I'm sorry, just state of execution. I'm sorry, that was mean. All right, I'll do it. Fine. I'll do it. Okay, that was mean. Because I took 17 off the list and I forgot. Okay, I'll do it. Sorry, Alexa. You can ask questions if you don't understand it. Okay. O conveys to Hartford School Board, comma, but if the premises are not used for school purposes during the next 20 years, to town library. Now, a lot of you may see this and say, this is a fee simple subject condition subsequent, right? That's wrong. Why is it wrong? Because a fee simple subject condition subsequent is paired with the right of entry, where it goes back to the transferor. It's not. The third party gets it, the town library. So instead, what we have is a shifting executory interest, right? So a school board has a fee simple subject to the library shifting executory interest. That's a present interest. And the library has a future interest in shifting executory interest. Don't get tripped up by the butt if the executory limitation goes to a third party. Everyone see that? The remaining problems here are all in your book at the end of the chapter. There's an answer key in the appendix. So do these all over the weekend. Actually, don't do all of them. You can do 1, 2, 3, skip 4 and 5. Trust me on that one. You can do 6, skip 7. Just do the ones on the sheet, 8, 9, and 10. So skip 4, 5, and 7. They're not worth doing. Any other questions? Any other questions? Good luck for Tuesday. If you have questions, email me. Happy to chat in my office after this, but I'll see you all later. Thank you. Yes, sir.
So I'm going to the international bench.